A white blanket of snow covered everything. The small village of Norrham, in northern Sweden, was locked in the grip of winter. The trees stood lifeless, as if they had been asleep for centuries, carrying the weight of time's snow on their branches. 12-year-old Joseph was staring out of his window. His breath fogged up the glass, and he began drawing pictures in the mist with his finger. His world was quiet, cold, and colorless. His parents had recently divorced, and he had moved to the village with his mother. A stranger at school, a stranger in the neighborhood, and a stranger in his own life. One night, as the snow fell heavily, Joseph saw a shadow in the yard. He crept to the window and saw a girl, about 12 or 13, walking barefoot on the snow. The next day, the same girl was outside the school. Her face was pale, her hair black, and there was a depth in her eyes that most children didn't have. Her name was Ella. She never spoke to anyone and often wandered into the forest after school. Joseph first spoke to her when he found her sitting in the snow, crying. He approached her. "Aren't you cold? You're barefoot." Ella looked at him silently, as if she could see beyond his eyes. Then she whispered, "I don't feel the cold." Joseph and Ella slowly grew close. But the closer he got, the more entangled he became in strange events. An old beggar was found dead in a village, with bizarre wounds on his neck, as if a wild animal had torn him apart. Another night, a farmer's wife claimed she saw someone hanging upside down from a tree in the forest, with blood stains on the snow below. The police found nothing, but fear spread. One night, Joseph followed Ella into the forest. He saw, Ella had pinned a deer with her hands and was drinking its blood from its neck. Joseph froze. As he stepped back, a twig snapped, alerting Ella. She turned toward him, her eyes were blood red. The next morning, Ella was standing outside Joseph's window. "Can I come in?" she asked. Joseph was stunned but nodded. As soon as she stepped inside, she seemed normal. "I drink blood because I need it to survive. But I don't want to hurt humans, unless I have no choice." Joseph asked, "Are you a ghost or spirit?" Ella looked down, "I'm a vampire. But I won't harm you. I want to be your friend." After a pause, Joseph nodded. "If you're telling the truth, then I won't reveal your secret." The village murders increased. Some began to suspect Ella, especially a local hunter named Lars, who had set up cameras at night. Ella told Joseph, "I have to leave. If they find me, they'll burn me alive." For the first time, Joseph confessed, "No, don't go. Stay with me. I'll protect you." Ella smiled gently, "Then you'll have to become part of the darkness too." Joseph looked puzzled. "What do you mean? If you want to stay with me forever, you must become like me." Lars captured video footage of Ella drinking blood and rallied the villagers to attack her home. Ella hugged Joseph one last time, "We have to part now. You're still human. Live." But Joseph wounded himself with a knife and said, "You don't need to kill me, just change me." Through tears, Ella gently bit his neck, then stopped the bleeding. The final image was of 2 small drops of blood on the snow, marking both the end of innocence and the beginning of a new life. Joseph and Ella hid for 2 days. Ella explained the transformation would be gradual, first pain, then hunger, then silence. Dark circles appeared under Joseph's eyes, his body warmed despite the cold, but his heartbeat began to fade. On the 3rd day, his eyes turned red. He wanted to be only with Ella, everything else seemed meaningless. One night, they found shelter in an abandoned cabin outside the village. Ella said, "You're not human anymore. You'll feel hunger, the kind only blood can satisfy." Joseph whispered, "But I don't want to hurt people." Ella replied, "Then you'll have to learn when to hold back, and when to endure." Lars was still searching. He convinced the police that the strange wounds in the snow came from something human-like, not an animal. Ella and Joseph devised a plan. They wanted to leave the village for a place where no one knew them. But first, they needed supplies. For the first time, Joseph hunted a wounded fox. He sat beside it and drank its blood, controlling his thirst. Then he stayed silent for hours. Ella placed her hand on his shoulder. "You're changing, but your heart is still the same." As they prepared to leave, Lars and two policemen found their cabin. Lars kicked down the door and yelled, "Come out. We know who you are." Joseph looked at Ella. "Let's fight. We're not alone anymore." Lars had a gun. The policemen were clearly afraid. Ella calmly said, "I don't want to fight humans, but you forced us here." Suddenly, she lunged, disarming one officer. Joseph looked into the eyes of the other, and he collapsed, paralyzed. Lars fired, hitting Ella in the shoulder. She fell. Joseph screamed and attacked, fire in his eyes. His hands closed around Lars' throat, but Ella cried out, "No. Don't become like me. You're not fully turned yet." Joseph pulled back. Lars passed out. Ella and Joseph escaped into the snow. Behind them, the cabin roof bore red stains, like crimson stars. Now they were wanted. The entire village knew something unnatural had happened. Ella said, "We must go south, where nights are longer, days shorter." Joseph asked, "Will we ever live a normal life?" Ella replied, "No, but we can choose our life, even if it's dark." Their journey south led them through snowy forests and desolate roads. They traveled only at night, hiding in caves or ruins by day. Ella taught Joseph new rules. Never enter a house uninvited. Avoid the sun, it will burn you. If the thirst overwhelms you, close your eyes and listen for my voice. Joseph learned. Many times, he was drawn to the scent of blood. One night, he saw a lone traveler, but stepped away. "I'll stay the one you liked, Ella. Even in the dark, still human." Months passed. They now lived in a deserted library in southern Sweden. Joseph began learning languages from old books. Ella took an interest in music. But then came news from their old village. Lars had died. His son had vowed revenge. He was now hunting Ella and Joseph, driven by hatred alone. Their migration into darkness was no longer complete. They were prey once more. One night, under a bright full moon, Ella said to Joseph, "If we keep running, we'll never be free. It's time to make a final choice." Joseph whispered, "So now we fight?" Ella nodded. The next morning, they stood on a hill's edge. Ahead was a new village blanketed in snow, a new life, and perhaps new dangers. But they were no longer alone. Ella held Joseph's hand, and together they stepped into the snow, toward a journey where the nights were long, the days short, and hope never-ending.